Hey fellas, what's going on? It is Thursday, January 30th, 2014, and I got the Super Duty in the shop. Nothing wrong with the truck, but we're going to change the cutting edge on the plow. I got the wings off. They're laying on the floor over there because they got to get new rubber scrapers put on them. So, and it won't fit through the door with them on. But this cutting edge is like the original that came with this poly plow. This is the 8.2 Poly V Plow Boss with the Smart Hitch 2. It's a great plow. I like this rolled cutting edge, but at just under 400 bucks for both halves, we're gonna try a non-rolled edge one, and then we'll have to make like a little snow catcher for the middle out of some heavy belting. So I'll bring you guys along for that. Here's the cutting edges. They're this kind. This is Byers, or maybe Sam Snowplow Aftermarket Manufacturing Company. These are the cutting edges. They're both the same. You can only put them on one way, even if you flipped one of these 180 degrees and lined up the bolts. They've got this tapered edge so when it goes into the V, it doesn't hit the hinge. So I'm going to go ahead and get this existing edge off. I've already popped all the bolts off. You can see the nuts laying on the floor. They're just sitting there. So all I have to do is lift this off. So I'll put you guys on the stand and kind of give you a quick narration as I go. We'll get one edge started on there, and then I'll bring you back once that's all tightened down and done, and we'll move on to the next thing. I'm going to grease the hinge on this thing today if I can. It's not squawking at me or anything, but it's good preventative maintenance. We got more snow coming, and I got some downtime, and it's warmed up a little, so I'm going to go ahead and hit it. So here we go. Like I said, I already loosened these. These are a 5/8 carriage bolt, and the nut size is 15/16. Use the impact to loosen them up. You could do it by hand if you had to. And also, sometimes these nuts, even though they're a carriage bolt, will spin in the square hole that they set in. You can tack some weld on either side of them, because if you cut them off from the front, you still have the square to contend with, and if you try and cut them off from the back, sometimes if you're not careful with the torch, it's kind of close quarters, you can cut into the mounting area. So really not a whole hell of a lot to getting these off. And before it's all said and done, I'm going to cut a couple pieces off of this edge and weld them to the outside of the other cutting edge. I'll show you that. Did I forget one? No, I didn't. We might have to hit that with something. Usually they pop off. Let's see if I grab it here. No, it came off. So wear gloves when you're doing this. They're not real sharp, but you really don't want to cut yourself on it. And what am I looking for? I am looking for a scraper to scrape some of the crap off of this. There's some ice on it. And it's just got a little bit of rust on it. It's pretty clean actually, which is a good thing. Now I wore this cutting edge down to the point where I couldn't wear it down any farther. It was just kissing the bottom of the mold board. And you don't want to be tearing into that, not on the surface. And in this coffee container I have grease. I'm going to wipe that off, and I'm going to smear grease all over that to help prohibit rust. So I'll bring you guys back in a minute. I got to find a rag to do that with. Actually, I just found one. We're good to go. So just aim that at that wing. Make sure you're zoomed out, because I'm just going to put one of the wings on camera, and I'll do the other one off camera. It'll probably take me about 15 minutes to change them. really not terribly rusty, just had a little bit of rust on it. And this is just, any kind of grease is better than none, I'm sure. Some people probably wouldn't do anything, that's just my preference. You may stick the putty knife in there to deal with that. And this is kind of what I call my junk grease container. It's contaminated. It was extra grease out of the bottom of a pneumatic grease gun drum. So I don't use this for packing bearings. I have clean grease in a bearing packer. Again, this is just my preference to do this. Most places aren't going to do anything when they change an edge except for put the edge on. So I'm just going to do this one side at a time and show you each, or show you the first side, and then I'll show you completion. Grease is cold. It got cold in the shop this week because I haven't been out here. Alright, that's that. So now we got some grease on there. I've got a brand new bolt pack for this. Hopefully we got the right ones. These are 5/8 by 2 inches. Should be correct. So I'll get 2 carriage bolts and 2 nuts so that once I get this thing up there, I don't have to set it back down, hopefully. These are a little bit easier since you're only doing half an edge at a time. Some of those, like the Duramax has on it, that is a 5/8 inch cutting edge, and it is a real heavy beast at an 8.5 foot edge. Okay, so I've got a nut started on each of those. I'll put the other 2 in them and we'll run them down with the impact. As soon as I get all 4 bolts in it. Again, there's not a whole lot in to changing one of these edges. I got lucky taking the bolts out. None of them were frozen up, so that's always a nice surprise. I don't know if the camera's picking it up. You can hear a truck running in the background. I got the Duramax just sitting outside, idling. Right size bolt, wrong size socket? No. Thought that was odd, but. against the mold board. Finish torquing them too here. I just want to get them all started down, run down. All right, there's one half done. I'll go ahead and I guess I'll do the other half and then I'll torque the bolts. So I will, I'll bring you back in a few minutes here. Alright, so there's a new cutting edge. Both sides are on, torqued down with the impact wrench. I don't know what the exact torque is on those. You can look it up if you're not comfortable just running them down by feel with the impact. I've never had a cutting edge loosen up or come off, so I'm going to go with that. Now, if you have the rubber shoe or the plastic shoe that goes in the middle of the snow catcher, you could probably stop right here, but stay tuned. There will be a part 2 of this video on building a snow catcher out of some belting material, and we'll go from there. So that's it on this video, guys. Really not a whole lot to it. One thing you do need to do when you install a new cutting edge, if you've adjusted the tilt on this plow as far as a bolt and a shim. Some of the newer ones have multiple bolt holes, but there's that bolt right there. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. Right there. That's a wedge, and you have to loosen up your trip springs back here and have the plow on the ground or off the truck and support the back of the plow carriage with the set of jack stands at the height of the truck, and you can rock the mold board forward or back and loosen that bolt up and rock the mold board. Gosh, my finger's not even in here. Basically what happens is when you have the plow down and in the V position, so I'll show you that. Zoom back out here. When you're down and in the V position, not the scoop, but the V, if the tip of this blade in the center is hitting the ground and the wing, outsides of the wings are off the ground, you need to adjust the angle of this center section by moving that bolt forward or back. I can't remember which way is which, and I don't need to adjust this one. I've already checked it both directions. If the blade tips come off the ground when it's in this position, you need to adjust. And the same thing is if it's in the scoop position like this, it'll tell you one way or the other. You just have to mess with it and see which way you got to rock it, back or forth. But this one's okay. I've already checked it. We're good to go. So we're going to move on to part 2, which is going to be building that snow catcher for the center. So I'll bring you back in a bit. All right, guys. I wanted to bring you along for building this snow catcher, but I couldn't drill those holes with any of the drill bits I own. I had to cut them with the plasma cutter, and for lack of any better explanation why I didn't show you, I couldn't keep my foul tongue at bay. So at any rate, it's in. It only really took about an hour and a half to build that. That was too long, but I tried fighting drill bits and sharpening drill bits when I should have just blown the holes with the plasma cutter. It looks a little funky. It's sticking out the front, but at full angle, it works good. That edge will wear off of there, and as you're going forward, it'll shove it back through. I've already pushed it back through by hand. And it's not going to hurt anything to stick out the front because those two edges never touch one another when it's in full scoop. They get real close, but not all the way. So that'll wear off and will be marvelous. So that's it for the snow catcher.